The NBA has a major problem that needs to be solved. This problem has been going on for some time now. And that problem is the NBA is really starting to shift more towards potential rather than impact. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why I say this is a problem is because I'll just give you one player, for example. You know what I'm saying? I feel like he's the poster child of this. Russell Westbrook. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that, that has a narrative of playing hard and playing 110, 120% every time he steps on the floor. You know what I'm saying? You always hear former NBA players, every time they bring up Russ, it's the energy he brings. But, along with that, you know what I'm saying, there's this bad narrative about him, that he's turnover prone, that he's just, he really spontaneous. He just does wild things and people can't, they don't know what to expect from him. And I think pretty much since that Lakers run, people have been focusing on the bad side of the narrative. Not that he plays 110 or 120%, but that he's, crazy. You know what I'm saying? He does wild things on the court, turnover prone. Like I said, you just don't know what to expect from him. And that brings me, into my point that he's just the main poster child of impact over potential. You know what I'm saying? Because he's already 35, 30, 36, getting up there in age. He may not be fitting as, a franchise player anymore, but he has shown you that he's willing to adapt to any role, that he's willing to, take a pay cut, that he can still, give a team a spark. You know what I'm saying? Because Russ is one of those players that any team would want on their team. You know what I'm saying? He's one of those players where you hate to play against him, but you'll love him to have on your team. You know what I'm saying? Just the energy he brings, the spark and whatnot. Like I said, he does a little bit of everything. I think, in today's NBA, he's definitely, at a disadvantage, because the NBA, you have a guy that may be 22, 23 years old, but pretty much doesn't have, the qualities that Russ has. But just because he's young, he'll get an opportunity over us. Or just because, he has a certain mode, or he's a certain mode of a player, he'll get an opportunity over somebody. And I think that's the main problem with today's NBA, where you see a lot of teams, they don't live up to the expectation that's set for them, because they're a team that's really based on potential rather than actual immediate impact. There's a lot of teams out there that need immediate impact, but because they're leaning so much on potential, if they don't reach that potential, they don't even come close to the team that they're supposed to be. And I think you see that a lot with the NBA. That's one thing I would give credit to, for the older era of the NBA, is that they leaned more on immediate impact. Players that can help them now, rather than them having to wait 5 years, 10 years for their team to finally come to fruition. You know what I'm saying? Because ain't no telling what may happen in the next 5 to 10 years. Coaches that may be in, the staff now, they might not even be there in the next 5 to 10 years. The whole identity that you may set for the next 5 to 10 years may not even be there no more. I do think the NBA needs to go back to immediate impact more than potential. You know what I'm saying? Because I think it'll help a lot of teams, especially like the younger teams. You know what I'm saying? For example, that have been bad for a really long time. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect, but a team like the Kings, for example. You know what I'm saying? Well, Russ did play for the Kings, but you know what I'm saying? I think they leaned too much on immediate impact, and it just didn't work out. But a team like, the Nets, for example, a team like the Pelicans, for example, you know what I'm saying? I think these are teams that's really leaning too much on potential. So much that if that player doesn't reach that certain potential, or everybody on the team doesn't reach their certain potential, it messes up the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? It messes up the whole team. Like I said, you don't want to lean too much on immediate impact, like the Kings, for example, where, they had one of the oldest teams in the league, but you also, don't want to lean too much on potential. Because at the end of the day, potential, it's all imaginary. You know what I'm saying? There's some players that you can see flashes of what they can become or whatnot, but you know what I'm saying, a lot of players, they don't end up reaching that type of player. You know what I'm saying? They may do a complete 180. Potential is or what you expect that player to become. And a lot of times players don't become what you expect them to become. So I think it's really messing up the whole NBA. As you have teams that their oldest player is 23, 24 years old. You know what I'm saying? But their potential is through the roof. You know what I'm saying? But you may not see that potential for the next 5 to 10 years. You know what I'm saying? And now you're putting so much pressure on. You're basically depending your whole future on a player that's in year 1, year 2. You know what I'm saying? By year 3, year 4, if they don't reach a certain threshold, you're giving up on the whole team, and now you have to start all over, picking another young player. That alone is making the NBA just all over the place. Because you have some teams where, it's full of young players, no vets, and they have really nobody to, help lead them. You know what I'm saying? All the successful teams in the NBA right now have vets. You know what I'm saying? Look at the OKC, for example. They have vets. They have Caruso being one of their main ones. The Spurs, for example, having Harrison Barnes. And these are two players that's been in the league, for a minute, winning championships at the highest level, been around some of the greats. So when they get to these young teams, they're able to help navigate, you know what I'm saying, and make the road easier. That's why you see some of these young teams make huge leaps. You rarely see teams that's full of potential, make a huge leap. You know what I'm saying? It's usually a vet or two that comes within the organization that's when they make that leap, and I think, that's really what the NBA is missing, immediate impact, and like I said, you have somebody like Russ who's basically suffering from that. Like, you have a player that literally can not only help you with veteran leadership, you know what I'm saying, that's showing that he's willing to do that, but he can also make an immediate impact for a team. And which is why I don't understand, you know what I'm saying, why he's not in the league. Like, this should be the point in his career where he's, set in a certain role, that he's sticking with a team. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, he can still provide winning plays for a team. He can definitely, impact winning for a team. It's just the fact that, we're in such a weird state with the NBA that he's not even getting a chance because people are depending on potential of what this player could be, rather than, let's get some players that can help us win now. Some players that can, if we throw them in the game, we can trust them with the ball, that we can trust them to help us win the game. You know what I'm saying? I think some teams, they'll rather go through 10 losing seasons, but just because they have young players and so much potential, they'll rather go through those 10 losing seasons rather than, bringing in, 1 to 2 to 3, winning players or impactful players that can impact the game of basketball now, and may not be as bad to where they can get a top draft pick, but they can be bad but still show, progression. You know what I'm saying? And I think, like I said, too many teams are just dependent on, potential, when at the end of the day, it's an empty stat. You know what I'm saying? Like, potential doesn't show up on the scoreboard. You know what I'm saying? You have some teams that now they got so much young talent to the point where they have players on the bench, you know what I'm saying, that's 22, 23, looking for, an opportunity, but they can't get it. And now you're wasting potential. You know what I'm saying? So now they don't even have a chance to, show what they can do. And like I said, a team like the Nets is a prime example of that. From top to bottom, it's just youngness, which is okay. But like I said, at the end of the day, you can have too much potential to the point where, you're honestly hurting yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because you really don't know the team that you have, and now you're just going through the motions. You know what I'm saying? Rather than really trying to find an identity, really trying to win now. you know what I'm saying, really find out the team that you have now rather than, oh, we'll see what we have in the next 5 years, or we'll see what we have in the next 10 years, you know? And I just think we're just in a weird situation in the NBA where people are dependent too much on that. And I keep repeating the same thing, but you get what I'm saying. But, you know what I'm saying, that is all I got for this video. I appreciate y'all for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do those 3 things for me. And yeah, I'll catch y'all next one. Did you do it? You did it. I appreciate it.